How can you tell if someone is enlightened? It's a great question, because everybody seems to think they know how to do it. So I'm going to say some things that you can check out for yourself, because I'm Jason for AwakenedEssence.com, and this may be part one of many videos. But the first question I'd ask is, how would you define enlightenment? So if you know how to define what enlightenment is pretty precisely, then you might be able to, get a sense if someone is in that place by asking them some very specific questions to see if they are meeting the measurements of what enlightenment is. So my definition is pretty simple. Has a couple of variations, but here it is. To be present in this moment, instantaneously, because you know that is you. That presence, that stillness, is the nothingness that has no name. It is the spark of consciousness that doesn't own anything, doesn't own a driver's license with a name on it, doesn't own a car, doesn't reach seventh levels of something or other. It's just nothingness. To be consciously aware of that, while the person is also cognizant of the person that they are. And that person may be nice or bad or have certain habits. They may have different skin colours, different body parts. But they have that capacity to enter the place of stillness, presence, peace. Maybe even bliss there with it. Joy, happiness. Instantaneously. As soon as they are vigilant. Look up the word vigilant. It's not a practice when you are enlightened. There is no practice. There is nobody doing a practice, to use the Advaita term. But someone chooses to be aware of that which is nothingness, that is everything, that contains everything, that everything comes from. That's why it's in the Bible. In the beginning there was nothing, then there was the Word. Then there was a lot of complaints. To quote Douglas Adams. That's how I define enlightenment. How do you define it? And how would you define if someone had or is at that place or not? My view on it is it's a bit of a journey. You have awakenings and experiences of God and oneness and all sorts of stuff, the 10-faceted diamond that the Buddhists talk about. There are many ways in which indicate a sense of wholeness and unity. But when it comes down to, are you consciously aware of the presence, the space, nothingness that you are? That's fairly measurable, because can you do it when you've just hit your hand with a mallet? Do you instantaneously, as a inbuilt reaction, be aware of the nothingness that you are when someone's yelling at you, or you just have a near miss on a highway with your car and all the chemicals go through your body? If not, then you're probably not defined what I would call, deeply in the abiding state, which takes 5 years of being enlightened anyway if you're practicing hard. And that's what Aju says, and I agree with him. Aju Shanti. Look him up. He's amazing. So, how do you define enlightenment? Therefore, how would you measure that? Put a comment below if it's the Facebook or the YouTube, or send us an email. Had a friend the other day saying, it's about unconditional love. Cool. So I asked him, so what is unconditional love? What is that to you? How do you measure that? Is it a feeling? Is it a feeling that's 3 degrees pink and 4 degrees magenta? How do you define what unconditional love is? God is unconditionally loving. That's what God is. So God loves the rapist and the person that drives a plane into a building as much as they do the baby that was on the plane. That's unconditional love. Jesus exemplified that by what he did. Ramana Maharshi did that by exemplifying how he behaved. That's one of the stories with Ramana, as he was outside of his ashram, out on that street there. I went there for a month, and some thugs came along and beat him up and threw him in the ditch, which is a sewer. It's not a very nice place. Anyway, he crawled out and he says, okay, well, lunch is being served. Do you want to come in and have a feed? That's pretty cool, isn't it? That takes it takes class to do that. So, are you judging people by how unconditionally loving they are, or by what clothes they're wearing? I mean, I wear fairly nondescript, non-labelized, daggy stuff. That's what I'm comfortable in. I love wearing a suit. You might see some of those soon, because I'm back in the corporate world. But, you know, let's be real about it. It's a bit like the Awakening is not videos that I've done. So, once you know what enlightenment is, the next question I would have for you is, are you actually in that place? Because, you know, I'm a man, so I can't tell a woman what it's like to have a baby. I can't judge a woman's performance in having a baby or whether she's able to do it or not, because I'm a man. So, if you're not in that place yourself, how are you in that place to make a judgment? That's a good question. But it's good to find out from them how if they are enlightened, what they define that is, and if they can help you to get there. Because knowing whether or not someone's enlightened or not isn't going to actually help you, is it? So I define it as being present, still aware of the layers, as many layers as you can be. And the way I format it or structure it, I would say, you know, you go through the awakening phases, have the oneness with God and all that sort of stuff, you know, and then it's gone and you want it back. Then you get to what I call the non-abiding phase, where you have a consistency of practice. The doer is doing the practice. The spark of consciousness is choosing to be aware of the space, the stillness, the nothingness that they are as best as they can throughout their day, when it's good and when it's bad. Feeling good is not being present. That's going to be another video. But, you know, you are returning here and you're consciously holding it. Various activities, work, driving, shower, arguing. Some of these things take longer to master. TV takes quite a while to master, as does being present fully in movies. Things like that. Which is why there's such great brainwashing devices, as is Facebook. Right? But your capacity to hold it gets better and better and stronger, and you have the capacity to hold that when various emotions are going on, and you will master certain emotions faster where you can hold your presence, be it in strong grief or fear, anxiety, being miffed, which is, you know, a little bit of anger. But when you are fully in rage and anger and someone's done something and you're yelling at them and you're holding your stillness, you will remember that day for the rest of your life. I remember the first day I did that very clearly. I can see the picture. I can still see the look on the guy's face. He was like, because he was doing something to annoy me on purpose, right? So he wanted a reaction and he got one. But I was looking at his eyes as I was telling him off. And he could see this little spark. He knew something else was going on, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. Never forget it. So you will have measuring sticks in terms of your capacity to be present and how stable that is. And you know, if you're having a hard cycle with life, there's a cycle video there when life's really hard and you're still holding your practice and it's really, it's like the winter, the soul winter, the dark night of the soul, as people like to say. When stuff's really gnarly and painful and emotional, is your presence with you, and you will build that up. Then one day it won't leave. Your practice won't work, and that's what I call the abiding phase, which I would define here, under my definitions, as enlightenment. and that takes 5 years to settle. You then have to learn a whole new set of things that you can hold that consistently, and it will deepen and settle because it's such a shock to your system. That's how I define enlightenment. There's a whole lot of things that I would say are not enlightenment. The first one of those is siddhis, psychic abilities. Okay? Talking to dead people or angels or whatever. Lots of people have those, and some of them have them very advanced, and they're not present. Let's be clear about that. I was actually listening to Sadhguru Jaggi Visudev the other day, and he said, why do people want to talk to dead people? It's because they can't talk to the living ones. I love him. He's an amazing man. He's definitely a bucket list item if you want to see great teachers. And yes, another one is Kundalini. Now, some of us are unfortunate enough to experience that sort of stuff, and I can tell you it's not pleasant. I can't say it helps at all, and I know other people that have had it. I know one person in particular that's had it very, very badly, excessive amounts of pain, and get excessively psychic with it as well. But wow, torturous. That person's definitely not awake and doesn't own what goes on as a result of it. So Kundalini, isn't it? Those spiritual energies, when they come through, are very, very powerful. And siddhis can come about, making objects move, particularly when anger's used. It's not nice to be on the receiving end of. That is not enlightenment. That is not awakening. So if you're trying to develop these skills, you're trying to develop your psychic abilities, why are you not trying to develop your presence practice? And as with this video yet, I haven't taken you through it, have I? So as with the videos, be aware of your feet. Where are they? Hands. Pelvic floor. The base of your being. It's that far away from my head. So if you can be, put your hands near the bottom of your torso and your head. If you can be aware of your pelvic floor, that's how far away from your head you are. Therefore the chatter, if you can be aware of that area, tells you there's that much space. Gives you detachment from it. It means you're not hooked in. Because when you're hooked into your mind, you will perceive anything. You will perceive angels talking to you. You will perceive presence. I met a person back in 2003, and we were talking about the power now, and the guy goes, yeah, I've read the power now once. I am that. I'm awakened. Just because you know it and your mind can create it doesn't mean it's real. Measurable. Can you hold your body, be aware of all your body parts and the sensations, the sounds in your environment, hold that space, be aware of the physicalities that are going on. Like I got pain going on inside of my body. I'm aware of where that is. I'm aware of the wind, the birds. And there's a glow going on. The glow of nothing. Glow of nothing at the moment has aspects of cheekiness going on. Happiness, joy, bliss. Is that Jason? No. But that's always there. I'm always vigilant of it, and if it was to vanish on me, it would be like I'd have my arms and my legs cut off. I would notice it. Until you get to the place where it's abiding and you don't lose it and you know that's you, it's something you have to work at. So, be aware of your hands and your breathing. Any things that are going on inside of your body, be those nice things or bad things, the pain. Oh, thanks. My pain just twanged. I did a video on pain. Go and check it out. A lot of people have pain. I forget that. The thing is, with pain, we forget how crap it is when we don't have it. And then when it turns up, it's like, ooh, I really appreciate not having pain. Stillness and nothingness is here as pain happens, just like the nothingness, the space, the presence happens while thinking happens, while emotions happen, while you drive or bike or tram to the job, or look after the child that's screaming and carrying on. Ask them those questions. You might get a sense of what their stillness, their presence, their beingness is like. Just because they say they've got it, what does that mean? Get measurable. Measure it. You measure it. It is measurable. I've just given reasons, examples. Try it out for yourself. This is the thing, when you practice this and it becomes part of who you are, then you know it so you can talk about it. So if they can't explain it to you clearly, then they don't have it. That was one of the things one of my teachers used to say. If you can't explain it, then you certainly don't have it, do you? I can't explain how to hit a tennis ball, an ace, on a serve. Roger Federer can. And if he was to coach me on doing that, I would listen. And I'll try it out and see if it works. Though his style might not suit me. So does this style suit you? This style is hard work. It's hard to be honest with yourself. It's hard to take that responsibility, and there's a video on responsibility. I mention honesty all the time, there'll be videos on that as well. Maybe later. There will be. But do you want to be awakened, enlightened, and live in that place? So, how's the space going inside of you? Can you be aware of your hands and your tummy breathing and the pelvic floor at the same time? So it's in your body, deeply in your body, away from your head and your tummy where all the emotions are. If emotions are going on, hold the space for it. So all it wants is your attention. You'll give that by holding the space, and you'll be in vertical alignment, so it will heal faster, regardless of what healing system or therapy system or whatever you use. Vertically aligned with your stillness and your presence. Knocks out the emotional level, knocks out the mental level, comes through from the spiritual level, everything gets cleared out. If you're not present, this should be in a different video, but if you're just thinking it through with cognitive behavioral therapies and not feeling the emotion and doing disassociation, then the emotions are still locked in the cells and it will come back. The survival mechanism inside of you, which is, I don't know if it's the ego or what, but it's a cool word, it describes it really nicely. The survival mechanism will rebuild beliefs until you clear out the emotions. So you need to do both. You need to be aligned, hold the emotions while you're aware of the beliefs. What is a belief? I'm pretty sure Adyashanti said it, and I love it so much, I've never forgotten it. It's a container for the unknown. That's what a belief is. So when you're young, you believe in a tooth fairy because you don't know if a tooth fairy exists or not. You believe in the Santa Claus because you don't know if he exists or not. Do you believe the sun is going to rise tomorrow morning? Or do you know it's going to rise tomorrow morning? You don't need to second guess it, do you? You know. So beliefs are like that. They're good for our mechanism that holds things, and it's our operating system. So you upgrade that as you become aware of it. It's okay to put good ones in. Because the mind needs it. That's in the inquiry stuff, which there may be some videos on. It's pretty in-depth, that stuff. So it's not cities. Now, cities. An important city with some people is when you go around certain teachers, you'll notice they blaze a certain energy. All teachers have different, what I would call keynotes. Eckhart Tolle's different to Adyashanti, different to Sadhguru Jaggi Visudev, different to Shakti Amanarayani, different to Amma the Hugging Saint, and a whole bunch of others I've been and seen. Different to me. I don't blaze like them. There is a stillness with me, but I don't blaze. Certain gurus have certain energies, and their awakenedness brings certain characteristics. But there are people that have siddhi that aren't awake. And if any of you here have ever been anywhere near Bill Clinton, please let me know. Whoa, what a firecracker. He's amazing. And within 2 weeks of being, a couple of 100 metres away from him and all his snipers that were on the roof of the Antarctic Centre in Christchurch back in 1999, I got within a few metres of the Dalai Lama. Guess who had more siddhi, in my interpretation? Dalai Lama doesn't claim to be enlightened, by the way. Neither does Bill Clinton. But he's pretty amazing. And again, that was just my experience. Was that real? I don't know. So what is enlightenment, and can you tell? Yeah, maybe. Define it, get clear, or listen to what they say and what they do. There are a lot of really blazingly awakened teachers, particularly the male ones, that do particular conducts that aren't very nice. Sacral area, usually with the ladies. Does that mean they're enlightened? No, when you're enlightened, you're just aware of stillness and presence and the nothingness that you are, and that's your identity. Well, your identity is still there because you need that to live. But you're aware of the stillness all the time. Before you even think about it, it's there. It's a priori, to use the Latin word. Describes it nicely. The best way to test if a teacher's enlightened or not is to try what they say and notice how fast you shift. Or use their vibration, their resonance, and this is all part of the laws of grace. It's like you're hopping into a hot spa to raise the temperature of your body, but energetically you're doing that. So how do you imbibe in their amazingness, their vibration, their awakened state? Through your own practice, of course, and your receptivity. And how do you hold on to that after you leave their company? And this is how you can measure your practice as well. They can help you to boost your stability in certain areas, so your average presence practice, your average capacity to hold the stillness that you are, gets stronger and stronger. And it's a never-ending story. Once you master enlightenment, once you've settled in that, you may find yourself going into what I call the transpersonal levels of awakening, which isn't anything to do with a person. You are aware as a being, you are aware of other beings as though they are you. Really does your head in, so you've got to be well established or you'll go nuts. There are lots of ways to measure enlightenment, that's a couple. If more videos pop up, it's because I've come across more and I want to talk about it. So any questions? Are you aware of your presence right now? How's your practice going? Have you been journaling it? Send me a question. If you want to really come home, I reckon this is doable in 5 years with what's in this website if you nut it out by yourself. If you try it, test it. Try it, test it. There's your evidence. If you want assistance, give me a call, because there are things that will trip you up that are hard to do by yourself. So I'm Jason for AwakenedEssence.com.